guys, so welcome to one of our first of the four for our Multiple Sclerosis Lunch and Learn series. Today we have, we actually have somebody on campus today, because normally we don't get guest speakers on campus. And we have Sierra Harrison here with her mother. She's going to kind of just do a talk with you guys, and she'll be able to more explain what all she's doing. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everyone. How is everyone doing today on this rainy day? Y'all making it? Okay, wonderful. I am so happy to be here with you all. So this presentation is going to talk about building a multiple sclerosis community. Really quick, is anybody familiar with multiple sclerosis? Just a little bit? Okay. By the time this presentation is over, you all will learn a lot about multiple sclerosis. So here are the talking points. We're going to talk about who am I? So that's me. What is multiple sclerosis? Define invisible disability, Americans with Disability Act, educate and bring awareness to the unique challenges that people living with an invisible disability face, impact pharmacists have on patients' continuity of care, and building and engaging in the community. Who am I? You'll find out in a few minutes. March is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. Multiple sclerosis, it's a disease that impacts the central nervous system. So that's your brain and your spinal cord. And a unique challenge that people living with multiple sclerosis face, it also affects their optic nerve, okay? Now, for unknown reasons, the immune system attacks itself. And that is, it attacks the myelin sheath. And of course, the myelin sheath is a protecting coating over the nerve, right? And when those nerves are exposed, it interrupts the communication to and from the brain, all right? Now, you say, well, Sierra, what kind of symptoms does MS, what does those symptoms look like? How does it impact people? Well, it impacts people differently. And some symptoms can include weakness in arms and legs, numbness, memory problems, brain fog, vertigo, loss of sensation, blindness, bladder problems, loss of control of body movements, and more symptoms. But this video will give you a better example of what MS is.
Multiple sclerosis is a disease that impacts the brain and spinal cord, which make up the central nervous system that controls everything we do. MSSociety.org or call 1-800-344-4867.
Now that is a visual of what multiple sclerosis looks like. Moving right along, multiple sclerosis is a snowflake disease. So every person living with MS experiences different symptoms. The clinical presentations look different, right?
Right.
And I look forward to showing you all how MS impacts me. Now let's talk about the types of multiple sclerosis. Now, the first type is not an official diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. It's called clinically isolated syndrome. And that's the first episode of neurological symptoms caused by inflammation and demyelinization in the central nervous system. It lasts for about 24 hours. Somebody may have some issues with their vision, weakness, numbness, but they only have that one episode. Now, relapse and remitting multiple sclerosis, 85% of MS patients are initially diagnosed with this type. Now, with this type, a person will have attacks, relapses, and exacerbations. Follows the initial relapse and remitting course, okay? So you may see somebody who experiences more neurological symptoms. They progressively worsen. This is when you may see somebody walking with a cane, or they may need assistance with a walker, or possibly in a wheelchair. Really, it depends. Primary progressive MS, they progress. I want to let you know who I am. So I'm Sierra Harrison, Sierra Charlanda Harrison, And I'm a 2013 graduate of the Bachelor of Social Work program at North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. I'm a 2015 graduate of the Joint Master of Social Work program between A&T and UNCG. I am a member of the National Association of Social Workers. I am a licensed clinical social worker associate. A life event inspired me to diagnose with relapsed and remitting multiple sclerosis in April 2016 at the age of 25. This diagnosis, it changed my life. My initial MS symptoms were vertigo, headache, fatigue. I had some weakness, numbness in my arms and my legs, and I had plasticity and paralysis. I also lost my ability to walk and to eat.
My body, my legs and stuff don't want to, cooperate like they need to. My gait is off. And so I'm walking like a little robot here. You can focus it on my hand. My hand is starting to contract here. I'm having plasticity in it. I'm having weakness. It moved up a little bit, but
what I did a series of videos, and that's not the only one. But I decided to write down all my symptoms, and I said, you know what? This generic isn't working. And I contacted my specialty pharmacy, and I spoke with a pharmacist there. And now I spoke with a few representatives, but I think it was a thing, they didn't understand the importance of putting down a certain date and time and the duration, because really, that's what helps the doctors manage your care even more. If they don't have those specific times and dates of when it happens, they're not able to manage your care as well, okay? So, I spoke with a representative, didn't really get the answer that I needed, so I called again, and the representative sent me to an amazing pharmacist. This pharmacist was patient. She wrote down all my dates, when I was having these instances of MS attacks, how long it happened. She sent over all the paperwork to my neurologist, and the next thing you know, within weeks, I was back on Aubagio. Now, I don't know if you all have heard, but I'm sure you all will. Aubagio is a disease-modifying therapy for multiple sclerosis, okay, to treat different forms of MS. Now, recently, the generic, they have created generic forms of I just started another generic of Aubagio, teriflutamide, a few weeks ago, but it's with a different manufacturer. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping that I'm able to thrive taking this treatment. If not, I know what to do again. I know to engage with my neurologist. But really quick, this is talking about building a community. I will say sometimes you do catch some of the errors when the doctor may put in an order. You say, hey, I don't think that's right. Let me contact the doctor or the provider to make sure that this is right. So you're always advocating. So you're saying, well, how do I build a community? By doing those things there, and also by sharing your story. What was your reason for wanting to be a pharmacist from the beginning? That's what's going to drive change. And that's what's going to drive a community. That's what's going to build a community. Who am I? I'm Sierra Harrison. I'm a multiple sclerosis advocate. I'm a thriver. I'm a pet lover. I'm a small business owner, content creator. I am a volunteer, and I'm so much more. And I thank you so much for your time. And if you all have any questions, just feel free to ask them now.
You mentioned on the previous slide an OPED. Can you define that for me?
You talk about an opt-in?
Yeah.
So basically, that's when you're like submitting. You can submit something to your local newspaper or something in regards to that, or you can send it to an official, and you're just talking about like your cause. So I mean, really, it could be, just with technology, it could be on social media. So that could be, what does that look like? Well, it could look like a social media awareness campaign. You can write locally into your newspaper and say, hey, I would like to write about this. This is the issue that I care about. This is the issue that I believe will help the community. So, just, yeah. And the onset age for multiple sclerosis is ages 20 to 50. But there are people who are diagnosed with MS in 50 and up, but that's the average age.
And children. Children.
Oh, yes. Does anybody have any other questions?
When you were talking, I was curious, you mentioned that like sometimes stress, be it physical or mental, can really trigger that for you. So
Absolutely.
do you find that, is that create like a sort of cycle where if you get stressed out and then you're not feeling good and then all of a sudden you're more stressed out and like, I mean, visually we saw what that looks like, but I guess, is that, how do you kind of get out of that? Like that seems pretty rough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. It is rough. Over the years, I've had to learn to develop better coping skills because, as you know, like I didn't want to be diagnosed with MS, and I can tell you the truth. I was very bitter in the beginning, and what I realized was that the more angrier and the more resentful I got with my condition, the worse my symptoms got. So I said, okay, there's really nothing, bless you, there's really nothing that I can do about it. So I said, okay, what can I do? So I decided to put some things in place. So I pray, I meditate, I rest. I do like adult coloring. So sometimes I'll draw and I'll do like a word finder puzzle. I try to engage in my community and in my MS community by volunteering and kind of like take my mind off of it. But yeah, you're right. A lot of times I have to just really snap myself out of it because I have to think, I'm like, okay, if I don't get my emotions in check, my symptoms are going to get worse. And I'm glad that you said that. In that video, you can see my symptoms are triggered through stress, through weather changes. Now, some people, they're a little bit more sensitive to hot weather than they are cold weather. I'm sensitive to both, but cold weather is worse for me. So it's weather changes, stress, and I would say just like the overall disease process, that's what triggers my symptoms. But I'm glad you pointed that out, though. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I just, I guess I wasn't familiar with the fact that like the stressful situations like that would flare up like that. That's rough. I guess is that probably a cornerstone of therapies, like you mentioned, praying, meditation, like mental health aspect, I imagine, in addition to the pharmacological therapies, like.
What I've tried to do is I've tried to, of course, talk with my mother who has wise counseling. Yeah. But there are times where I talk with my, deaconess at the church and, people that are in my community that are wise and they're not really emotional and they're thinking they're more like level-headed. And so when I'm able to speak with them, I feel a lot better. I've never went to like mental health therapy or whatever, but I've been able to navigate and use other resources outside of that service.
Does diet play a part? Because I've talked to only one other person who had MS, and she completely revamped her diet and noticed a difference. What's your experience?
I completely agree. Diet has a lot to do with how somebody is able to manage their care with multiple sclerosis. I'm be honest, if you eat a bunch of, French fries and chicken and stuff like I'm guilty of, it's going to take a toll on your energy. I think about inflammation. Those foods, they are, inflammation. So that person is right. And I feel like eating, fruits and vegetables, the right amount of meats and drinking plenty of water, that is going to help build up your energy, make you feel better compared to eating a bunch of things that, are higher in fats. Sugars make you feel sluggish and you're not able to, and then especially if you have like inflammation going on or whatever. I know for me in Pacific, when I eat too much salt, like my ankles swell up a little bit, my fingers. So I agree with that. Diet does have a lot to do with managing your MS symptoms.
She's getting better with it though.
Yeah, mom knows.
I'm on it now.
Y'all, I'm guilty. Look, I'm from the South. My mother can cook, and I like to cook. I'm sorry. So I have to be honest with y'all. Any other questions?
In the video we saw that when your name was contracting, your mom was moving saying, and using that as like a base judgment for you.
Mhm.
Is that a painful experience when somebody, I guess, moves your hand in a certain direction and you're contracted like that? Is that painful for them to pull it out?
Believe it or not, it didn't hurt at all because it was stiff. It was just like stiff as, I was like that, it was stiff as a board, so I'm like, Mom, move this. So whatever way she moved it, it really didn't hurt at all. Now, one thing that I did experience, Mom, you remember when you was picking me, you was getting me in the bed and like this part of my arm was stiff?
Right.
Mom tried to kind of extend it a little bit. Now that hurt a little bit, but when it came to my hands, no ma'am, it didn't hurt.
About your physical therapy and a team study?
Oh, yes. So when I was initially diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, my neurologist, and it was horrible. Y'all had issues with walking. I had physical therapy for several months, and that helped a lot. But now I'm with a MS Fit clinic, and it's with Winston-Salem State University. And I'm able to work with the faculty and the students that are getting their doctor of physical therapy. But I'm able to work at that clinic. They've been working with my hands. I've been having some issues with my hands a little bit. As you can see, my left side is a little, it's a little bit slower, but I've been having issues with my hand, and I have a slight drop foot, so they've been helping me with that. And I participated in my first clinical research trial. It was the Teens Research Study, and it's specifically for African Americans and Blacks living with MS in the southeastern part. And with this was a at-home, structured at-home exercise program. And the goal of this program was to see if we had an at-home structured program with a behavioral coach that was helping us like set goals and helping us overall, would our walking symptoms improve, and just our overall, mental and emotional health. And honestly, it did. I know I lost some weight from the study, but the food thing, I just don't have the best relationship with food, to be honest. But I was a part of that research study, and it was a great study. And I will have to say this: when it comes to multiple sclerosis, there are some challenges there, right? When you think about health disparities. Now, study had shown that 47% of Black Americans are at a higher chance of developing multiple sclerosis, okay, than the other groups. So I thought this was interesting, okay. So as you kind of go through your journey, right, working with people with different illnesses, everybody is going to have a different clinical presentation. So that's why it's important for you all just to lend an ear. I know some people, bless their hearts, they're a little bit too much. But it takes just listening, right? Listening and seeing where you can help it, okay? Stepping in and giving them the resources that they need and moving forward.
And alternative resources too.
Yep, alternative resources as well. So if any other services or any other thing that just let them know.
Perfect.
Anything that's going to help them have better access to care, better quality of life, definitely do it for them because they need y'all. We need y'all.
Yes.
We need y'all. Any other questions?
Thanks again.
Thank you.